Radio and Landon's Greenhouse. So please welcome Dan.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Much appreciated. Once again, I want to thank the Oasis for having us. And again, we are going to be taking a hiatus after this. But give it up to Oasis here, everyone. And then also, I got to point out that even though I am an old guy, I still can't dress myself. So my clothing is brought to you by my daughter and my son. I'd also like to point out the haircut was brought to me by the Hair Gallery. Although Sean is a little iffy, so after you get your hair cut, you do have to go see another barber. But he's still fun. Well, I don't want to hear it. Just hush. But you know, I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. I'm probably in the best shape in my entire life. Which is kind of terrifying, seeing as how I have this face of a man who knows exactly what gas station food tastes like to spare. Absolutely terrible. For 48 years, I was proofing like a yeast-infected sumo wrestler. In a sauna, I rose to 350 pounds. I didn't have flat rolls. I had crevices where hope went to die. It was sad. It was pathetic. It was so pathetic that my knees filed a restraining order against my gut. And the judge granted it on the case of emotional despair. So, as I do an awkward pause, you gotta love it, you know? So, because you get up here and then all of a sudden you forget everything you wrote. But it's all good. So, again, you know, I rose up to 350 pounds, and then I decided I'm going to have a gastric bypass. And I went down to 250 pounds. I felt like a Greek god. I started hitting the gym like it owed me rent money. Now, I don't have abs you can grate cheese on, but I do have abs you can gently smear cottage cheese on. There's a visual for all of you. You see, back in the 80s, breakfast was considered the most important meal of the day. But what they were doing was selling us sugar. Because in the 80s, every commercial in the mornings was cartoons. And my mom, she didn't buy cereal. She bought Diabetes, the prequel. And cereal mascots, more like cereal junkies. Trix the rabbit, that's a guy in active withdrawal syndrome. Twitching all the time. Toucan Sam, follow your nose. I'm starting to think I was consuming Fruit Loops the wrong way. You know, when you sat down to that bowl of cereal, it wasn't healthy. That was 800 grams of pure sugar. It didn't give you energy. For 15 minutes, it gave you a visual through space and time. Every morning, Tony the Tiger would burst through my TV. And let's just be honest here. Tony the Tiger, he's not a mascot. He's a sugar cartel kingpin. He would grab me by the collar and say, listen here, ho. One more taste of the sweet stuff. Come on, Dan. Do it for the Tiger. They're great! And I'd sit there and I'd fight back. I said, Tony, you striped son of a bitch, I ain't your hoe. But I was. I was a 350-pound cereal concubine, turning tricks for a cartoon rabbit. So, losing all the weight, I'm feeling good, but my confidence has absolutely gone sour. I mean, it's curled faster than yogurt left in a hot car. As a matter of fact, I have no problems getting up here on stage, telling you all my deep trauma and all my personal stuff. But if it has to come to me talking to a single woman, I forget how to process vows. I'm stuttering. As a matter of fact, I have people at work who know about this. They've seen it happen. It's horrifying, terrifying. But that's all right. I get through it. A little tear, a little cry. But we get through this. But here's the thing. I used to think a men's locker room was confidence castration going on, needling and everything. But no. Working with a bunch of women, that's when the confidence castration goes on. I had a friend of mine go, Dan, do you even remember where the hole is? And I froze. I mean, look, it's been 10 years since my divorce. The engine still purrs, but the car hasn't left the garage in 10 years. As a matter of fact, by now, I'm sure the city has blocked the entrance. I probably need, I don't know, a local guide, maybe a search and rescue dog. And even then, I'll still end up in the wrong zip code, the wrong house, knocking on the back door. It's a total mess. As a matter of fact, if I was to invite a lady to the bedroom, which is doubtful, but if I was, I'd be like a caveman discovering fire. I'd be holding it wrong, burning myself, going, where do I put this? And in the end, she'd just be sitting on the side of the bed, pondering her life choices, crying. I'd be there apologizing, of course. But this is where the true savagery of you women come in. A friend of mine said, hey, you know what? If you do get lucky, here's a condom for you. And she threw this at me. And I'm thinking, that's pretty gracious. So, the question is after all of that I've been through, would I have the gastric bypass again? Knowing that Tony the Tiger's waiting in the bushes, knowing I have no confidence around a bush? Well, hell yeah, I mean, I'm still a mess, but I'm a smaller mess. Thank you. Now, speaking of a mess, a few months ago, 9 o'clock at night, I get a knock on my door, which should have been my first warning because no one comes to my place. So I get the knock, I open the door, and it's two cops. And they're like, sir, why were you following this woman tonight? And I said, following a woman? Hell, I barely follow my own thoughts. And what had happened is, that night I had been to a friend's house. Now, my friend lives in a dead-end street, which is basically a civil engineer's middle finger to all of us. And it was snowing, so I parked at a neighbor's house. Now, when it was time for me to leave, she was leaving too. Now, I was not following her. I was held hostage by her commute. One way in, one way out. As we go down the road, she stops at a mailbox. I continue on. Well, she thinks I'm a serial killer. I'm thinking of gas station food despair. Now, here's the issue. When I got home, I had been smoking some weed. Now, when the cops came, my place, when they knocked on the door, I opened the door, I had a hot dog in one hand and a house that smelled like a Decker dispensary. So I ended up getting 10 days in jail and cleaning a cup for a year. I was in my house, but this is what I got. Now, do you guys remember that kid in school? The hall monitor, the one who would write you up and get a semi-erection if he caught you chewing gum in the hall? Well, guess what? That guy is now a probation officer. Can you imagine that? A guy whose professional calling is staring at another man's dick. I like to kind of compare him to a wine sommelier, if I said that word correctly. Oh, yeah, you did. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Because you see, every Tuesday, 8 a.m., he's sitting there, he's checking it for velocity, clarity, bouquet, which answers the internal question, do you spit or swallow? Now at this point, I'm thinking this guy had to really screw up his life if this is his professional calling, because I know he would make more money at gay porn. He's already got the choreography down, and he's got the money shot going on. Now, here's another thing that's driving me nuts. Gravity. Anyone here struggle with gravity? Absolutely. But I got a solution to this. See, every year I get a tattoo on my inner thigh. It's because I'm tracking the slow, humiliating descent of the boys in the basement. You know, 10 years ago they were in a penthouse suite. Now they're in a basement apartment. You know, by the time I'm 60, they're going to have their own zip code, traffic lights, and an HOA. And by the way, the HOA president, he's a real dick. You see, every time I get into a car or the tractor at work, I got, I'm not checking tire pressure. I'm not checking oil. I'm checking to make sure my ass cheeks aren't going to have nuts for lunch. It's a whole dance, man. It's, you got to do this hip wiggle, and you got to lift the leg, and the hip thrust. And if you do it right, victory. It's like that old cup and ball game. But if you do it wrong, I'm going full falsetto. Like a cartoon mouse on Helio. And this is my beef, the double standard. You see, you ladies can adjust the girls anytime, anywhere, and no one blinks. No one says anything. But if I, just once, go to adjust the boys at Starbucks, well, hell, I got some blue-haired barista hitting an alarm. We have a cold hazelnut. Cold hazelnut in the lobby. People are staring. Look at this pervert. Now listen, I'm not a pervert. Hell, at my age, this is OSHA compliance. I'm trying to avoid a workplace injury here. And sure enough, I'd be on the news. Local man arrested for scrotal recalibration. It's just not fair. It's a blatant, low-hanging double standard. Really, this is what it is. As I look at my anatomy now, it's like watching an aging rock band on a reunion tour. I remember the youth, but I see the truth.